Mr. McCord.
Yes.
I thought I'd find you here.
Well, I can't seem to find myself anyplace else but here. I need to somehow feel Nola's presence. It comforts me and provides me with the strength to deal with what lies ahead.
It's what lies ahead that I want to discuss with you. I realize what you're trying to do by including Anthony Reardon in our plans, but...
I had no choice, Mrs. Renfield. Besides, he's very resourceful. He may prove to be very useful.
He's also very curious.
Like Nola.
And like Nola, he may discover more than he should.
Then we'll have to see to it that he never does. Besides, I am glad to have his help. I mean, if we're lucky enough to find Nola before it's too late, well, then I'm going to need all the help I can get. Besides, he's very, very right about one thing. He can trace Jamie Loomis's comings and goings much more inconspicuously than I ever could.
That's true. But he must never discover our secret. He must never, never find that out.
I've even begun to wonder if it would be worth protecting. If by protecting it, it would cost Nola her life.
You mustn't talk that way.
Oh, my God, I must find Nola, and I will. I will find her if it's the last thing I'm ever able to do.
Nope. Don't get your hopes up, Nola. I'm not gonna drink myself into oblivion like I did in that godforsaken island and afford you a chance to get away. Nope. Not this time. You know, it must be that we've been cooped up together in this place for too long because you're beginning to look good to me. Yep. You're beginning to look pretty good.
Come in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. McCord, hey.
Interrupting, Miss Flower. I'd like a word with Anthony in private, if you have a moment.
Sure.
Sure. I'll just go back inside.
Okay.
See you later.
Be good.
Bye.
See you. Look, I'm sorry. I just had to stop by to ask you if you've heard anything.
Yeah, I just talked to Pauly a few minutes ago. You know, this Loomis character's a strange one. He's not leaving his room for anything. He even sent one of the bellboys out to get him something to eat.
Well, it sounds as if he's standing by the phone just waiting for Crocker to call him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Anthony, does Loomis have a phone in his room?
No, they've only got one. They got a payphone downstairs in the hallway. Usually Pauly answers it or whoever's standing next to it when it rings.
Good. Then let's suppose someone intercepts a phone call for Loomis, tells the caller that Mr. Loomis is out, suggests that the caller leaves a number, and...
That would buy us a little time, wouldn't it?
Exactly, and time is what we need if we're going to save Nola's life.
Mr. McCord, you know, I've been thinking about this. I mean, even if you do what Crocker wants, give Jamie Loomis his golden cradle and the rest of the stuff, we still don't have any guarantee that he's not going to hurt Nola anyways, do we?
No, Crocker's not the type of individual to be trusted, and that's why it is imperative that we intercept that phone call, trace the call, find out where Crocker is before Loomis knows what's happening.
I just wish it wasn't such a long shot.
It may be even less than a long shot, Anthony, but it's our only hope.
Pauly. Yeah, it's Tony. How you doing? Thanks, Pauly. Can you give us a call if Loomis makes a move?
Excellent. Anthony, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your assistance in the search for Nola.
Well, Mr. McCord, I got to do what I can. And I'll tell you what I don't like is keeping the secrets from my mom, though.
I realize that, Anthony, but to tell her that Nola is in danger would only cause her more worry and concern.
She's already plenty worried as it is. I mean, she suspects something like this anyway. But I guess you're right. If she knew for sure, it'd just worry her even more, you know? Mr. McCord, I'm still not sure it's not a good idea to bring the police in on this.
Anthony, believe me, I've had dealings with these people before. If they thought, even in the slightest, that the authorities were involved, well, they'd harm Nola, they'd disappear, and we'd never be able to save them. No.
Well, Mr. McCord. Lord, how lovely. What a nice surprise. Hello.
Mrs. Chamberlain.
This gives me a perfect chance to pass on a word from... Hello, Tony. Pass on a word from Amanda. She's concerned that the major stockholders become more involved in the company, and she wants to hold a meeting to discuss with everyone the ramifications of the Lewis oil deal. Now, we don't yet know when the meeting is going to be held, but I hope you'll be there.
I see, but I'm very, very busy right now.
Oh, aren't we all? I just got back from my vacation with Blanche Bouvier. Oh, come now, surely that name means something to you. Trish still maintains that she met you at Blanche's some years ago.
Miss Chamberlain, we went over this some time ago. I assured you that I had never met Miss Lewis before I moved to Springfield. Now, if you'll excuse me, Anthony.
Record.
Oh, perhaps you know someone by the name of Mona Enright.
No. I've never heard that name before.
Well, pity. She was a friend of Blanche's and mine, but she's dead now. Anyway, she was a poor, pathetic little creature, very dull and depressing. I suppose I shouldn't speak ill of the dead. I've never understood, though, what difference it makes. Anyway, perhaps I could entice you to stay and listen to some of Floyd Parker's music.
I'm sorry. I'm very busy. I just stopped by to see Anthony. Anthony, I'll speak to you later.
I'll keep in touch, Mr. McCoy.
I expect to hear from Silas any moment now, so he must be prepared to move into action. Loomis is our only contact.
This Loomis is a real creep, Mr.
I know, but he is our only contact with Silas. Now, when Silas calls and tells us where and when to move the cradle, we must figure out a way for you to follow Loomis in hopes that he'll lead us to Silas and
No
Nola.
problem, Mr. McCoy. There really is a secret passage. I never believed Nola.
It came with the house.
Put it here, please. Yeah. Because of Helena, I must close these doors and lock them.
Wow. Look at that.
It just brought me nothing but bad luck from the first time I found it. First, Charles Taylor murdered in London, and then our ill-fated trip to the island, and now Nola.
These jewels real?
Yes.
And the whole thing's solid gold?
Yes, Anthony.
Where'd you ever find a safe place to keep it?
There is one place in this house that is very safe.
Well, I think we should put the cradle in the crate I have for it.
You know, Mr. McCord, crate or no crate, this thing's pretty heavy. I think Loomis is going to need some help to be moving that around.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I only hope we don't have to wait too long.
What's something like that worth, anyway, Mr. McCord?
Well, it's hard to assess its enormous value, Anthony. But if it can be used to return Nola safely to us, I'll be glad to be rid of it once and for all.